Howdy, boys. This weekend we have UFC Fight Night Anthony Hernandez versus Michelle Pereira. This is another card that I'm always excited for fucking UFC. I can't deny that. But Jesus Christ, this is another piece of shit. And I guess that's what we get when fight nights are near banger pay-per-view cards. We get fed garbage. But nonetheless, let's get into the fights. First on the card, Austin Lane versus Rebellis de Spain. Nice little bar to start the fight off. Or not the fight, the card off. I'm going with Rebellis. Even though he has zero grappling, I don't think Austin, even if he gets a takedown, will be able to do anything with it. He doesn't have that great a ground and pound. Not very heavy on top. Has no jiu-jitsu. And has a history of being knocked out. He got knocked out by Janato Deniz, I think that was his name, newer guy to heavyweight. And he is pretty decent, so I can't really blame him for that. But he also got KO'd by one of the Taffa brothers, and I think they're fucking garbage. Anytime he gets hit cleanly by a big guy, he gets hurt and eventually goes out. I think Rebellis can manage that. And like I said, even if he gets taken down, he went to decision in his last fight against Waldo Cortez Acosta. I always fuck up his name. And he did get completely dominated on the ground, but he lasted. He didn't go out. So I think he can manage to, you start on the feet every round. He's got 3 chances to KO Austin Lane, and I think he'll make the most of it. Second fight on the card, Melissa Martinez versus Alice Ardeline. Fucking hell. I don't give a shit about any of these next 3 fights, so I'm not going to go too in-depth with them. There's plenty of women's fights I do care about. These are none of them. I think they're all hot garbage. Melissa Martinez has lost to Elise Reed. Elise is terrible. So, going with Alice Ardeline. Third fight, Jessica Penne versus Elise Reed. As I just mentioned, Elise Reed is terrible. Going with Jessica Penne. And fourth fight, Jocelyn Edwards versus Tamirez Vidal. I just think Jocelyn Edwards is more proven and better all around than Tamirez Vidal. Going with Jocelyn Edwards. Fifth fight on the card, Brad Katona versus Gene Matsumoto. I'm going with Gene Matsumoto. I was quite impressed by him in his debut, and I have never been impressed by Brad Katona. Brad has pillow fist, he is Canadian, and I just don't trust his ass. He's got very short reach, too, for the division, and just in general, like, one of the shortest reaches I've seen in recent memory. Matsumoto has a higher chance of finishing it. I think he has 9 finishes of his 15 fights. Brad has 4 or 5 of his 16, and one of them is by KO. And the guy he KO'd was his first fight in mixed martial arts. I can't trust him. He's Canadian. Going with Gene Matsumoto, probably by finish at some point. Maybe, I don't know, second or third round. Sixth fight on the card, Mateus Nicolau versus Asu Almabayev. I was kind of torn on who to pick with this fight, but I'm going to go with Asu Almabayev. I think he can just out-grapple, smudge Nicolau, and potentially even hurt him on the feet. This is a big step up in competition for Asu over whoever that fucking Johnson guy fought, the height bully for flyweight, and CJ Vergara. Nicolau is really good. I actually really like Nicolau, but he's coming off of 2 KO losses, not looking too great for his chin. And even though Almabayev doesn't have the greatest power, at this point, I think he can hurt Nicolau. Nicolau's chin cannot be there as much as it used to be. He does have incredible takedown defense. I think he's got 93% takedown defense. But has he ever fought someone as accomplished and competent of a wrestler as Almabayev? I don't think so. So, going with Almabayev by decision. The 7th fight, the opener of the main card, Darren Elkins versus Daniel Pineda. It's crazy to me that these guys are still in the UFC this late into 2024. Fight boils down pretty much to who is cooked less, and honestly, I don't know. I'm going to go with Daniel Pineda, though. I rate his losses higher than Darren Elkins' recent losses. He gave a good fight to Nathaniel Wood, and I think Nathaniel Wood is pretty damn good. Darren's most recent fight was against TJ Brown, and I think TJ Brown is fucking dog shit. So, yeah, I don't have much to say about this one. They're both washed and cooked. Surprised they're still around. But I'm going to go with Pineda. I guess by decision. Darren's really hard to finish. Obviously, he's named the damage. You got to kill him to get him out of there. So yeah, finish for Pineda. 8th fight on the card, Brady Highstand versus Jake Hadley. At first, I was going to go with Jake Hadley, but I think Brady's just going to be too big in there and be able to keep a pace throughout the fight. He's a bit of a marauder. He's not the greatest fighter. He's not exactly high IQ, but he just keeps coming at you. Spamming takedowns, throwing shots, even if they're whiffing and missing. Dude's got impressive cardio. And I like Jake Hadley a lot. And I was high on him when he came in the UFC. But I've been kind of less and less impressed of him as he's went along in his career. He looked really good against Calvin Loughran. But I don't rate Calvin Loughran that highly. So, reluctantly, I'm going to go against Jake Hadley by split decision. 9th fight on the card, Charles Johnson versus Sumudaerji. I'm going with Charles Johnson. I have been continuously more impressed with Charles. I think everyone's aboard the Charles Johnson train after that KO of Joshua Van. And he's only lost to really good guys. His worst loss is Ode Osborne, and Ode's not terrible. Sumudaerji's last 2 losses were against Tim Elliott, who is a crafty old vet, but that's not a good look to being subbed by Tim Elliott in a round. And then the Schnell loss was a horrific loss. My God, it was bad. He looked like a corpse at the end of that fight. I think Charles will be able to piece him up on the feet. Sumudaerji's got good boxing, but I think Johnson is a little more versatile. He can mix it up more if he needs to. And so I'm going to go with Charles Johnson by decision. In the co-main event, Rob Font versus Kyler Phillips. I'm going with Kyler Phillips. Rob Font is getting up there in Unk category. He's taken a lot of damage recently. And he's kind of a 2-trick pony. Kyler will be rangier, more diverse fighter overall, and can mix it up if he needs to. Not much else to say. I think he's going to get it done by unanimous decision. And in the main event, Anthony Hernandez versus Michel Pereira. I'm going with Pereira. I think he's too dangerous. He's looked really good at middleweight. He's finished every opponent he's had so far in middleweight in under 5 minutes. Anthony is susceptible to being hurt to the body. He's been KO'd by Holland. I know Holland is a hard hitter, but Pereira might be just as hard of a hitter as Holland, if not harder. He's definitely more explosive, more diverse in his striking. He's going to be too dangerous in round 1. Hernandez, while he does have good striking, at times he's too willing to take shots. And I don't think he can take shots to the body from Pereira. He's got good takedowns, and he's quite, what's the word I'm looking for? He shoots often, Hernandez does, but Pereira has 95% takedown defense. So it's not going to be easy to get him down. He's a really big dude, and even if Hernandez does manage to get him down, I don't think he's going to be able to find a submission as he has easily on other guys. So I'm going to go an early round 1 or 2 finish for Pereira. That's all I've got for this card. If you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe. If not, I'll see you next time. Godspeed, cunts.